Hey people, it's your boy Malik here. I just wanted to talk about Redfall and the recent hate that's been going on with this game and why I feel like it's unjust because about 15 hours in with this game and I've been having a blast with it. It seems pretty okay. The biggest complaint that I have with it is the AI, but that's mainly for the human enemies, but like I'll get into that later though. But this game is a classic case that I've been seeing a lot recently over the past years of just bandwagoning. When one person says something or a piece of bad news come out and then somebody tries to go with that piece of bad news and then it goes from there, and then their audience, since they have a following, we know with these people that have these opinions on games where every game is bad and nothing is good, and in the death of modern gaming, we know these people that make these videos have a lot of followers, and they'll take what they say as fact, even without playing the game themselves, which is wild to me because I don't know how you form an opinion about a game that you haven't played, but or don't even have the interest of playing. But whatever, that's not going to stop people from review bombing because that's what we do now. We review bomb games that we don't personally care for, but whatever. Um, get back to point. This game is not that bad. Like, it's not the best game, I'm gonna say that, but it's not the worst game of 2023. It's an okay game. It is not groundbreaking. It is not fucking trash. It's not a trash fire. It's not a travesty of a game. It's just an okay, fun looter shooter. You can drop in, drop out with your friend, co-op, Borderlands type game, I guess. It has that framework of Borderlands when it comes to like the how you're going to go about getting loot and doing things, do the mission, kill the enemies, get the loot, switch your guns out. You're not going to keep a gun for an entire session. Like, you're going to be switching your guns out constantly because you're going to be leveling up, finding better guns and shit like that. There's not that many guns like Borderlands, but it has that same type of, you're going to find different loot. It has that type of gameplay loop of it. I heard a lot of people saying that this game's world is very empty, and yeah, the town just got taken over by vampires, so there's not going to be people exactly walking down the street having a good time right now. Your character and the other characters that you're able to play as are kind of like the only people that can actually effectively fight back, because literally two of you have powers and the other two just have experience and knowledge and gadgets. So yeah, I don't expect people to be walking around and just having a jolly old time while there's vampires going around just murking motherfuckers. There's also cultists and military operatives that are just running around causing havoc at the moment. Everybody's kind of huddled up at the safe houses, because when you're in the safe houses, that's where you see people. You're not going to see them walking around, but that's whatever. That was just like, that was the one take in this game that really irked my nerve, because I didn't expect that at all, because it's like, duh, of course they're not going to be a whole bunch of people around, but whatever. Going from that argument right there, the more you play the game, the more factions get introduced and the more vampires you start to see. So the world does get filled up eventually. It's just that in the very beginning of the game is going to be kind of empty because things are just starting off. The further you go along in the story, the more the world starts getting filled up, and I've noticed that. That's a pretty cool thing. I've also noticed they did that in Gotham Knights also. That was also a pretty good feature in that game too. But other than that, the gunplay is pretty solid. Like, shoot the gun feels pretty good to shoot. Every gun has its own, characteristic to it. There's not that many guns. I think there's 4 assault rifles, 2 fully automatic, 2 burst rifles. I think there's like 3 sniper rifles. Like, there's not that many as far as like different types. Well, there's different types, but you got your handguns, assault rifle, shotguns, stake launchers, flare guns, UV lights. Like, you have your variations, but the variety in that variation is not as much. But that's not as bad, I guess. Like, that's okay. Like, you're gonna find a gun that you like, and you're gonna stick with that gun most likely, and you're just gonna find upgraded versions of that gun. There's also legendaries in this game too that have different characteristics. Like, I found a pistol that can just straight up kill vampires. Because when vampires, when you get their health down, they get into this vulnerable state, and you have to stake them with like a knife or a stake or whatever you have at the end of your gun, or use a power to get rid of them permanently and actually kill them. But with this gun, I can just shoot them and it will kill them because it shot UV bullets, which I thought was pretty dope. But and plenty of other legendaries that I have found over time too. They're actually pretty fun to find. They're sometimes you can just find them lying around in the world if you go around exploring. Sometimes enemies drop them, like the Rook. The Rook is basically the world boss. If you cause too many problems, your Rook bar will go up, and when it's filled up, he will literally a storm will start to happen, and he will teleport in like Shazam and start fucking your shit up. But if you can kill him, he'll drop a legendary. So like that's the trade-off for him. But I thought that was a pretty good mechanic right there. There's also the mechanic of these I think they call it grave locks. These little things where you can, these little blue glowing humming things, kind of like a Nern root, but it gives you lore. And this lady, whoever it is, will start to say something, kind of explaining what is going on in the background vaguely. There's 100 of them in a game, and the more you find them, you get a passive for your ultimate recharge. Like you'll recharge 10% if you find 10 grave locks. If you find 20 grave locks, it'll recharge 15% of your ultimate bar automatically, you know, shit like that. I thought that was a pretty neat little feature right there. The world's pretty cool. I like Redfall. Apparently is based off of a real town, a real harbor town. I thought that was pretty dope. I think they did a pretty good. I don't know much about Redfall in real life, like the actual place, but for what they represented in the game was pretty cool. Like it's a nice little harbor town, and it's kind of eerie the way it is because it's so empty because shit's going down in the town. So it gives you that eerie empty city feeling as you're walking through the city, and you're just walking in people's houses and looting them, and then you might find dead bodies, you might find just blood on the ground. You can read the notes and the phones or whatever that's in the house and find sometimes you might find like a whole conspiracy. Sometimes you might, I walked in one house and I was reading the notes in the house, and I think the grandfather sacrificed his family to the vampires, and he was like plotting the whole time, and you can see his wheelchair, so it's like you can kind of put it together that he sacrificed his family to the vampires so he can gain his youth and get out of this wheelchair. Like it was a pretty cool thing that I found in one of these random houses, and I thought that was pretty good attention to world detail right there. This game has a lot of world detail because it's an arcane game. This is what they're known for. It's like an immersive sim. That's what it's basically. Yeah, that's what it is. That's what they call them, immersive sims. It has a lot of those features in there. But overall, the game is pretty dope. Like the 30 frames per second thing, I think people just took that, ran with it. Of course they did. That's mainly, I feel, PC people. Like there's some Xbox people I know that are having problems, but I mainly feel like it's PC people because majority of the time when it comes to these arguments and these issues, it's mainly PC. Because for some reason PC just has more issues when it comes to game releases. I think it's because everybody has a different rig now, and it's kind of hard to, optimize your game in the office. Once it's out there in the wild, everybody has everything, so problems are going to arise. That's why we have patches now. People don't like patches. They say it makes game devs lazy. I say, hey, it fixes the problem. And this is the way that things are going now. Games are way bigger than they were back then, so it might need a little tweaking afterwards because we're dealing with a lot more technology nowadays. But it's going to take a while for people, I guess, to start accepting that. But only problem I have with the game, like I said, is the AI. It's pretty dumb. The game's pretty fun. Like the vampires, it's about time we got another vampire game, especially a fresh take on a vampire, like vampire gods that have like pocket dimensions and these mystical powers and shit like that. Like I think that's fucking dope. Like that's cool as shit. Like these vampires nobody can leave Redfall because they literally took the water away from the town and made a water wall. You see that in the beginning of the game. It's dope as shit. Like these vampires are like nothing to be fucked with. These are not this Dracula in the old movies that will come suck your blood. Yeah, they'll do that, but they got some supernatural shit with them. Like these are some next level vampires, and I thought that was pretty dope. But nobody's really talking about like how cool these vampires are. But that's whatever. The internet's going to do what the internet's going to do. They're going to find something bad. They're going to run with it. The big YouTubers, big reviewers are all going to say the same fucking thing. And that gets stale and that gets very old. And I'm actually very disappointed in the way that video game reviews are handled these days. Because it's literally everybody saying the same thing. It's literally, oh, this game is garbage because of this. And then everybody's like, okay, this is the reason why this is garbage. Now we're going to nitpick everything else. Fuck this game. Instead of just like having fun with the game, like just actually playing it and then just having your review. Like, I don't understand why everything's got to be such a nitpick critique and shit like that. Like, somebody literally said, oh, you shooting the windshield of the car and the car explode. That's so unimmersive. This game's shit. Nick, motherfucker, it's a game. Like, who cares if you shoot the windshield of a car and it explodes? The car is going to, whatever. I don't really care. Like, that car exploded. I needed it to explode. It did what it did. This is crazy. Like, the arguments that people have nowadays when it comes to these video game arguments. But that's whatever. That's what's the popular thing to do now, is to hate, and not actually come up with your own idea and your own thoughts on this medium. And I'm telling you now, that's going to be the death of a lot of video games and a lot of series, because a lot of people are not giving these games chances anymore. They're listening to the best YouTuber that they like, or their favorite YouTuber that has a fucking dumbass take most of the time, I'm not going to lie, and they just go with that. And then the person will never buy the game doesn't get support, then the game shuts down. And when it was a really decent game, that's what people have to realize. There is shit games, okay games, and great games. This one's okay. It's not shit. It's not a shit game. They need to, like, people really need to understand the difference between these games now, instead of just having, oh, it's great and oh, it's awful. Like, it's not as black and white all the time. But that's whatever. That's what that's up to the people, I guess. But that's my take on Redfall, and I guess some thoughts on that I have on the video game reviewer community side of things. I don't like it. I haven't really watched reviews like that since I was a wee lad, because I started noticing these motherfuckers most of the time don't know what they're talking about. I've missed out on playing a lot of great games, listening to a lot of these reviewers on YouTube in the past. And I would say, form your own opinion. You don't have to love it. You don't have to like it. But don't take everything. Don't listen just blindly to what everything somebody says on the internet will say something. Like, come with your own opinion. But that's my take on Redfall. I'll see you guys later, and peace.